Welcome people, today we're trying out a mod called Fight for the Fatherland because one of the devs asked me nicely. The premise of it is pretty simple. What if Germany flipped to communism after World War I? How did that happen, you may ask? Well, it's pretty simple. As you know, after World War I, Germany was struggling to pay off their debts, and printing more money to deal with that had some unfortunate consequences.
$500,000 in cash.
France then occupies the Rhineland to get its reparations from Germany by force, and leftists saw an opportunity with the instability to take over the country. The military tried to declare martial law and bring peace, but they failed and were forced to flee to East Prussia. So now in 1936, there are two Germanys. The Socialist Republic of Germany that controls the mainland, and the Prussian state that has the Chiang Kai-shek in Taiwan status, but in East Prussia. However, unlike Chiang Kai-shek, I'm gonna lead my people out of exile and retake the mainland as the Prussian state. Starting off, what is there really to say? It's as bleak as you'd expect. The government is run by the military and corporations that made it out of Germany. Our focus tree has 3 different ways for our political path. We can bring back democracy, bring back the Kaiser, or maintain the status quo. Our corporate benefactors can give us bonuses if we cash in favors, which we earn by building specific buildings in states when they ask. We also get our own propaganda to motivate the people of Prussia to carry on and one day retake our homeland. The socialists continue to do border clashes against us on the islands off the coast of Germany. This is apparently the biggest attack on Prussia since the end of the Civil War, which ended over 10 years ago. I'm not sure why it's taken this long for them to try something like this. These commies certainly ain't beating the lazy allegations. They are also attacking us from the inside, blasting us with communist propaganda to make us weak. Coincidentally, after this, Kurt von Schleicher, our dear leader, has an attempt on his life. He's bedridden for 100 days, and opportunists seize the moment to declare their intentions while he is in recovery. Fortunately, there were Schleicher loyalists around to prevent those people from completely undermining the regime, and when Schleicher recovered, he brought the nation back under his control. A great mechanic that Schleicher gets by retaining his power is this quest system. It's very straightforward. You do this task it asks you to do, and you get increasingly overpowered rewards. Soon after that, I get the focus to intervene in the Spanish Civil War, since I'm gonna need all the army XP I can get. Okay, I don't know who this guy is, but I find the -1 manpower so funny. Bro was 70 years old. If he was going on the front line, it would look pretty bleak. So I was out here doing my part to help the nationalists push and fighting the Republicans. But then the Carlists spawned, and as Prussia, I just like their vibe way more. So in their most difficult moment, I may have left for greener pastures. With the Republicans already so crippled from when I was with the Nationalists, they could barely resist me now. I busted through their lines around Madrid, and from there we had a great staging ground to cut off another large portion of Republican troops. The front line was cursed. We encircled Republicans who had encircled Nationalists. After I was done, I continued southwards to finish off the Nationalists, and I was so close to ending them for good until apparently all the Carlist soldiers with me decided it was siesta time and left me. So I had to go and chase after those Nationalist troops that they let run around the country. Since they lacked supply, it wasn't too hard to catch up, and once those troops were caught, the Nationalists finally folded. The Republicans were next up, and the remnants of their army could barely scratch my volunteers. At 20% strength, the only damage they could do to my soldiers is making them feel bad for killing them. All that is left are the anarchists in the northeast, and while finishing them off, there's some interesting developments happening around the world, which means the UK has gone fascist and they're burning down their empire. Nothing much happens for a while. I meet up with the Poles to form an alliance with them and plan to soon take over the Baltic states since they are already being claimed by the Soviets. The invasion of Lithuania is fine, although I do have to share more with the Poles than I wanted to. When I go to Latvia and Estonia, things start getting weird. Apparently, the independence of these nations was being guaranteed by Republican Italy. Republican Italy that hasn't even overthrown Mussolini yet. So, if they're gonna get involved in my war, I'm gonna get involved in theirs. I just can't get over the audacity of that though. You're in a civil war to overthrow your fascist dictator leader. And when you aren't even winning that war, you look at the Baltics like,
this whole thing, all of this, it's all about me.
The main reason I'm invading the Baltics is to form the United Baltic Duchy as a subject, yet the Poles are continuing to get in the way of that by taking this land in peace deals. I'm not dealing with this nonsense, so I'm just gonna take it through other means. As I promised to do, I did send troops to the Italian Civil War and immediately busted through their thin lines in southern Italy. While doing this, we negotiated the Königsberg Awards. Somehow, we convinced Czechoslovakia and Romania to give up land to Hungary. Like, let's be serious for a moment here. Who are we to be telling these countries to cough up land? They really should be ignoring us. We helped Italy win their civil war at least, and they thank me by leaving my faction. So, I'm preparing to go to war against the Socialist Germans sometime in 1940. And I'll be real, my team is really scuffed. It's me, Poland, the United Baltic Duchy, which can't even do anything because they have to core all their land, and Hungary. Fortunately, the Socialist Germans are by themselves, but this is still going to be an uphill battle. Okay, somebody needs to explain this one to me. They aren't even going down the communist path. How did he get away with this? As soon as he announced that at the US Capitol, Congress would destroy FDR like. Also, my allies are turning into headaches. I'm getting everyone together to attack Socialist Germany, and Hungary here is trying to take over Slovakia. There's two problems though. I already know we can't handle a wider front against those Germans, and that's assuming we win. They are guaranteed by France and Romania, and I'm not going to deal with all that. And since I'm the main character, I won't dedicate 2 to 3 hours on this stupid side quest Hungary wants to do, so I make them pursue a different direction. In June 1940, I prepare my army for the Great Liberation War. I station Marines and other good infantry on the islands with the hope that I could break through their limited shore defenses and establish a foothold in northern Germany. Our troops broke into Holstein and ran towards Hamburg to cut off the socialist units in the area from reinforcements. Although this initial offensive was successful, the Reds quickly responded with tank divisions, stopping me from pushing any further. However, I feel this victory was overshadowed by the troubles in Poland. The Reds pushed for Poznan and managed to cut off the city from behind, trapping many divisions in the area. There was no hope for us to break them out with all the cast flying over our heads, so I had to accept these losses and look for another opportunity. That opportunity came less than a month later when, after they dealt with Poznan, they sent their reinforcements to push us out of Schleswig. In their attempt to kick us out of Kiel, they just left their rear lightly defended, so I hit them with a backhanded blow. This worked better than I expected, and I actually surrounded a decent amount of divisions, including their tank response corps. Their tanks are actually decent, so that was a really good catch. 200,000 men and 2,000 tanks were lost. For the foreseeable future, Schleswig was going to stay in my hands. As for Warsaw staying in Polish hands, that was looking more uncertain, so I had to send my men over. As the Reds continued to push into eastern Poland, it seemed like they left their northern flank vulnerable to counterattack, so my new plan was to push southwards and reach the Czech border. The offensive had to work because if Poland dies, I go down with them. So from Lodz and Warsaw, the Prussian soldiers advanced southwards. It started very well, with Prussian soldiers on the brink of closing the pockets very quickly. However, communist reinforcements combined with the lack of supply prevented the final stretch. This failure, combined with a massive counterattack by the Reds, forced me away from the border. Our troops stood badly beaten, but they weren't ready to give up yet. After the communists exhausted themselves with their counterattacks, I attacked again. It was still hard to push southwards, but we did manage to reach the city of Krakow. Prussian soldiers liberated the whole city and effectively cut off the German Red Army in Poland. Because of the size of the pocket, it took months to go around and liquidate everything. After looking through the combat log, I think they lost over 750,000 men here. Actually, now that I think about it, German army overextends trying to take an important city, massive counterattack in a winter leads to major encirclement of an army? Close enough. Hello, Battle of Stalingrad! That was a death blow to the socialist Germans. They had no offensive power left, leaving all the initiative to me. So, with the socialists no longer trying to kill me, the Poles are deciding to pick up the slack. Now's a good time to mention it, but basically, in order to even fight this war, I've had to check in on Poland every once in a while to stop them from doing the Baltic Alliance focus, which is a bit weird that they can do this when I have the Baltics as my subject. The AI is really like, do I want this ally who's proven themselves in battle and saved my country? Or do I just want to chuck them at the curb? And they keep making the wrong choice. I've saved their country and they're hitting me with...
You said thank you once?
The fight is entering eastern Germany, and while I'm making a breakthrough in Silesia, I notice the Poles are making a breakthrough along the northern coast. From here, I can see the vision. I rush northwards to meet up with the Poles and surround the remaining Germans occupying Poland. Austria, in the meantime, is declaring war on everyone around them, and I can't expect this to go well. Since Austria declared war on my faction, they made all the non-aligned nations at war with them want to join me. So I picked up Switzerland and Italy, but left France and Czechoslovakia out because I wanted land from them later. Thanks to the Austrians, I had formed a second front against the Germans, and the collapse was here. Their pathetic navy was sent to the bottom of the sea, and I easily walked over the remnants of their army. My focus tree had me build up a lot of collaboration with the German people, so by the time my army was reaching Hanover, the socialist government tapped out. We reunited the nation, and the country breathed a sigh of relief for 2 seconds before the Soviets started their invasion of Poland. I really didn't want to fight this war, because I'm not just going to fight the Soviets here, I'm fighting the USA and Belgium too. For a while, I was content to just sit around because I needed to reintegrate all this German land and go through a bunch of focuses to fix the country. Even though I'm in recovery mode, I figure I can at least handle the Belgians. Pushing through the forest is practically impossible, so I decided to go around it completely by backshotting them with a naval invasion. Despite the common term summoning every possible sub to slow me down, I landed in Ghent and secured Antwerp, cutting off any possible reinforcements to the country. Once my Marines regained their org, they could finish taking Brussels and Belgium would surrender. Now I thought I could just sit and chill for a while I waited to get cores on Germany, but then I saw a very concerning pop-up about Socialist Bulgaria. I was at war with them because they were in the common term, so them joining the Allies means I'm now at war with the UK and China. Seeing how vanilla factions work reminds me why I rarely ever touch the base game unmodded. I decided to start getting involved on the Eastern Front, seeing that Romania is about to collapse. And you may be wondering why they're not even in my faction. Well, that's because when the Soviets attacked, they thought Mao and Communist China was offering them better chances. That, of course, didn't work out for them, and they capitulated. So I did them the favor of cheating them into my faction so I can more easily liberate Romania. The integrations were finishing up, so I finally had the manpower industry to support a massive offensive through Bessarabia. The Comintern divisions were so under strength they couldn't really stop me, and the only thing that could stop me was hunger, which by the time we reached the Romanian coast was affecting all my soldiers. As I'm trying to break the stalemate with my few tank divisions, I get the surprising news that the Italians threw Mussolini out of power. Somehow, Italy couldn't handle the 6 British divisions pushing up the boot, so kinda understand why they kicked him out, but now that I had more divisions, I could get more involved to actually help them. My Marine Corps, supported by my new Air Force, was able to deal with that weak naval invasion, and the new Italian government was spared an uprising. However, that invasion of Italy turned out to be the warm-up for the British dropping an entire army in Belgium. Of course, I was worried about this going really bad, so I got all the tanks I could over there, only to discover most of them left immediately. I guess Belgium is really just that bad, huh? Back in Romania, I finally got the breakthrough I needed by taking the supply hub in Moldavia. With that secured, my tanks had what they needed to blitz through the Romanian plains to Bucharest. This was the beginning of a general Middle Europa offensive to the Black Sea, which ended up cutting off many Soviet and American divisions. By the end of it, we had dealt massive damage to the Comintern, but I would definitely say I caused way more casualties than that. I'm getting robbed here. The Red Army wasn't given the chance to recover from their losses in the Balkans, so as the Middle European armies pushed eastwards, the Soviets disintegrated quickly in front of us. In exchange for saving their country, I requested the Austrian land Italy took over so I could finish some more quests, and I had accomplished enough that I could restore Charlemagne's empire, which turns me into the Holy Roman Empire of the German nations, not only giving me claims over all of Western and Central Europe, but also allowing me to core all these provinces. Mexico somehow ended up at war with the United States, so I got them in my faction as they began their invasion of the Southwest. Little did the Americans know, the Zimmerman telegram was setting up a plan decades in advance. The Mexicans would get help soon, I just needed to finish off my enemies in Europe. After 3 years and 10 million casualties, the Soviets finally tapped out against Middle Europa, allowing complete German dominance over the mainland. I did need to clean up some borders, starting with the Austrians, and then the rest of the world powers. But for real though, unfortunately, the mod started crashing at this point, and I have no idea how to stop it. Although a bit anticlimactic, I'd pretty much won already. Once you can core half of Europe, you're pretty much unstoppable, unsurprisingly. Hope y'all still enjoyed the journey at least. If you did, remember to like the video so others will see it too. This was an interesting idea for a mod, although I feel like most of the challenge for Prussia comes more from the wackiness of ahistorical vanilla AI than the actual setup of the nation itself, if you get what I mean. Anyway, thank you to my alumni supporting me on Patreon. Y'all are the real patriots. These videos take a while to make, so any support you can give me there is very helpful so I can focus on taking my time with videos. There will be more U-Boat and HOI4 coming soon, so make sure you're subscribed to get that good stuff in your feed. See y'all next time. Bye-bye.